Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video I will be giving you guys my outlook for the Washington Commanders quarterback room in 2022. I'll give you guys my expectations for Carson Wentz. I'll also talk about the futures of quarterbacks Sam Howell and Taylor Heinicke. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content. Also hit that like button and turn on those notifications so you never miss a video. It really does help out the channel a ton. Now let's get right into the video. It's no secret that the Washington Commanders have had a quarterback problem for a long time. I mean, the last 4 years, really since Kirk Cousins left, they've been rotating quarterbacks in and out of the lineup the whole season. I mean, last year you had, Fitzpatrick starting it out, and of course he gets hurt like in the middle of the second quarter, the first game, and then you have Heinicke in, Kyle Allen played some snaps, Garrett Gilbert played. Man, it's just every year, the year before, Haskins, rest in peace to him, he was playing. You had Kyle Allen, you also had Alex Smith, Taylor Heinicke the year before, Haskins, Colt McCoy, Case Keenum, and the list just goes on and on. Mark Sanchez, Josh Johnson. This is all in the last few years. So Washington has not had stability at the quarterback position in a very, very long time, and hopefully Carson Wentz will bring that, but I mean, the last few years, he hasn't brought that to, the Eagles and the, Colts, but maybe it will change here. So let's real quick, we all know it, but let's look at the quarterbacks on the roster. Carson Wentz, of course, Taylor Heinicke, Sam Howell, and undrafted free agent rookie Cole Kelly. So those are the quarterbacks. Now let's get, to one by one. Let's talk about this. So Carson Wentz, of course, is the starter. No one's questioning that at all. He's a clear-cut starter for the Washington Commanders. They acquired him in a trade with the Colts this year where they traded 2/3, but one of those thirds could go up to a second if Carson Wentz, I believe, plays 70% of the snaps. So hopefully that happens. Hopefully it does become a second, because if not, we're in trouble. Carson Wentz, 6'5", 237 pounds. Last year for the Colts had a solid season, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. And a lot of people might say, those numbers are misleading. And, maybe they are. Maybe he's not he didn't play like a 4-to-1, touchdown interception ratio guy. Like he wasn't an elite guy, but he was still solid and much, much better than what we had last year. I love Heinicke, but Carson Wentz is a better quarterback and was a better quarterback than him last year and wasn't working with a ton. His receiving core was not good. It was Michael Pittman, and then besides that, T.Y. Hilton was in and out of the lineup. Paris Campbell was out for the whole year. They really had no one besides Michael Pittman. Their tight ends were Their offensive line usually is very good, but last year was struggling with injuries and just didn't play to their expectations. And the running back, of course, amazing running back situation there. I think overall Washington's offense this year, the pieces around Wentz will be better than what Carson Wentz had last year. That's just my take. So I think that will also help Carson Wentz out a ton. And he was solid last year. He wasn't amazing, but he was solid. He just has to be a little bit better in those big moments, in those last few minutes on that last drive. He has to just be a little bit better, a little bit more clutch, and if he can do that, he will be he already is going to be a big upgrade over Heinicke, but if he can do that, that'll really help out the Washington Commanders. And he really only had one bad year, 2 bad years if you count his rookie year, but a lot of these rookie quarterbacks have bad years. But 2017, obviously, that's his, MVP type season, 33-7, and then he likes to throw a lot of 7 interception seasons. In 2018, didn't have an amazing season, but was solid, 21-7. Missed 5 games due to an injury. 2019, he had 27 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. That was a very good year for Carson Wentz. Over 4,000 yards passing, 63.9% completion percentage. He was very, very good in 2019. Pretty much carried the Eagles to the playoffs in that season. We don't need 2017 Carson Wentz. It would be amazing, but we don't need it. You give me 2019 Carson Wentz, which is a better version of last year's Wentz, and we are golden. Big upgrade over Heinicke. That's kind of what I expect from Wentz. Kind of a similar season to last year. Maybe a little bit, maybe not, a 4-to-1 touchdown and interception ratio, but I feel something like 29 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, something like that. Maybe let's say 30 touchdowns, 10 interceptions for Carson Wentz, and maybe he throws a 64% completion percentage and 4,000 yards. That's kind of what I'm expecting from Wentz. He, also have to keep in mind he played injured last year. Like he sprained 2 ankles, I think, on one play or in one game, and he was playing injured for a lot of the season. And that's a common theme with him. That's another kind of knock on him, his injuries. So he's got to stay healthy. 2020 was pretty healthy, just got benched. 2019 was healthy as well. Until the playoffs where he got a concussion. 2018, 2017, those were kind of the main years. So hopefully he is able to stay healthy for the Commanders, but I think he will be a big upgrade and should really help out the Commanders. We're just hoping he can, have a little bit more consistency than he had last year. So that's Wentz. Let's move on to Taylor Heinicke. He's the best, he's a perfect backup in my opinion. Last year after Fitzpatrick went down, he started the rest of the season besides that Garrett Gilbert game because Heinicke, I believe, had the virus. Was, okay, I guess. 20 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. There was games where he played really, really well, but there was games where he really cost the Washington football team last year. So, he's a backup. He's a backup, a very good backup, especially for this team. He knows the system. His teammates love him, and he can play really well for a few games. He just can't do it over the course of a season. Like you look at Terry McLaurin really suffered from Heinicke last year. I think on passes to McLaurin, there's a 37% uncatchable pass rate, which was the highest amongst NFL receivers with over 100 targets, I believe. That is insane. So, Heinicke really wasn't helping out McLaurin, but I think as a backup, that's his best role. Another year in this offense. I mean, he's already been in this offense for a while, but another year in this offense with these teammates, and he's a good backup to have. And he's under contract for this year, and after this year, he's a free agent, so really will depend on how Sam Howell's looking, if they're gonna want to bring back Heinicke. But he's a good locker room guy, everyone loves him, and he knows the system. So it really depends on how Howell looks, because if Howell looks good, then you'll probably want to keep him as a backup. But if you can keep Heinicke for cheap, I don't see a reason not to, because I think he is a good backup for them to have. And yeah, let's hope hopefully he doesn't have to play this year, but if he has to play for a game or two, I'm not super down about it, because he can hold the fort down for a couple games. Next guy, Sam Howell. A lot of people were excited when the Commanders drafted him, myself included. Projected to go in the second round, and some people even said the first. And he went in the 5th round, first pick of the 5th round, 21 years old, about 6'1", 220 pounds, played at UNC. I mean, he's listed as the same height as Heinicke, but Heinicke's more 5'11", he's even said it himself. But Sam Howell, like I said, a lot of people expected him to go higher than he did, and I love this pick for the Commanders because you get a guy that has high upside, maybe a starting level quarterback at some point in his career, and you get that in the 5th round. So even if Wentz ends up being your guy, he becomes a average to top 10 quarterback for the next 4 or 5 years, which I'm really hoping happens, but who knows? Even if that happens, you still have Sam Howell on the roster who can either be your backup, or if you develop him really well, maybe you can trade him for a piece or two, nothing crazy, but maybe if he becomes a starting level player, maybe Jimmy G was with the Patriots, maybe you can get a 2nd or 3rd round pick for him. So that's why I like this pick. And also it gives you some insurance. Let's say Heinicke leaves this offseason, or they're not able to re-sign him, or they don't want to re-sign him, then you got Sam Howell there as the quarterback who is in the system for a year. And yeah, I think that's a good pick for the Washington Commanders. I don't think he's ever going to be a top 5 guy or even a top 10 guy. If he can be a starting level quarterback, a 15 to 22-ish guy, ranking, that is a win for sure in the 5th round. You can probably, if Wentz is still that guy, you can trade him for some assets, and that's a good pick. If not, you can have him as your QB while you really wait for that franchise QB that we've been waiting for a long time. So that was one of my favorite picks of the draft. So, we'll see this year. No expectations for him. I don't think he's going to, I hope he doesn't play at all, and I don't think he will. But knowing Washington quarterbacks, he's probably going to have to play. But I think that, he will be the 3rd string guy behind Heinicke at 2nd string, and then Wentz as the starter. And he'll play in the preseason a lot, though. I think give Wentz play him in the first couple games significant amount because they're not doing any joint practices, and I think that they need to play a significant amount of time so they don't get off to a slow start like they have for the last couple years. But after that, Heineke doesn't need that much practice. Give it to Howell and Cole Kelly, who we're going to talk about next, but I'm excited for Sam Howell for sure. And then Cole Kelly is another very interesting guy. Had amazing stats last year for Southeastern Louisiana College, but he's 6'7", 24 years old, 250 pounds. So he's a unit. He's a big guy for sure, and he's a guy he's not going to make the roster. They're not going to he's not going to make the 53-man roster. Very rarely do teams keep 4 quarterbacks. He will likely be a practice squad guy unless a team claims him off waivers. He'll be a perfect practice squad guy to have, a guy that's a developmental guy, and who knows, if he plays okay and you lose Heineke, then maybe you have Howell as a second string guy and then Cole Kelly as a third string guy, and it'll all work out. But he's got, maybe a little too tall in 6'7", 250, but he's got some of those measurables. He had insane stats last year, and a lot of people thought he would get drafted, so getting him as an undrafted free agent is a little bit of a steal, and I think it's going to be a very interesting kind of training camp, but also preseason, seeing Sam Howell and Cole Kelly play some snaps. I think it'll be really fun to see for sure. So let me know what you guys think about the Washington Commanders, quarterback room, how you think it stacks up to other teams in the NFL. I think it's, Carson Wentz is going to be, I think, like an average QB for us, which is much better than what we've had. And I think we got some really good depth in the room. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace.